Welcome, and thank you for joining us for this webinar on working with class features. We're going to be talking about some different features in your class that you can use for management, and also a lot of them are available for your instructors to use as well, like the attendance chart and the ability to monitor labs, how you can find lab instances for a class, what virtual meeting tools we have for you, and recordings with virtual meetings. Class activities that you or an instructor could assign and or disable, surveys, discussions, and some happy facts about the roster. So let's go and take a look. Oops, I forgot that was on that screen. So for our class management, we're going to start with the attendance chart. So on a multiple day class, and this is a Monday to Friday class, if you're in the roster, you can actually mark your students as attending. They show up at first as unknown. So you have different options like attending, complete, incomplete, no show, failed. But this doesn't show you that they were in class every day. So we have this attendance chart, and what it allows you to do is, or your instructor as well, or any administrative user, can come in and just check the boxes to show that what days the user actually was in class. And you can write a report from your site administration on class enrollments, find class attendance, and you can then see a report on each student. And you can see here Aaron's student is the first 5 rows. It's the dates, March 1st through 5th. He has a no on Friday because we haven't marked it yet, and Wednesday as well because he didn't show up, or so I say. So you can export this, and you can do it by username, you can do it by class, and if your company or whoever paid for the class is looking for attendance results, you can have those right there for them. And we're going to take a look at monitoring labs. And we need to go back to the class page, and we can monitor labs, and the instructor can monitor labs. And this gives you a view of our active lab instances that are running in class right now. So when we click on monitor labs, it opens up to your management page, and you can set the refresh rate to how quickly you want it to refresh, or just refresh it up here. You can filter for different people. You can add class files and share them out to the directly into the lab interfaces. You can see each person's window, and if they make a change, you can also see that happen. And we have different size tiles so that it's easy for you to see them. I don't like the images down there. I haven't been active in my labs, so it's not really showing them very well. But Brian's active. And we also have a list that view that gives us more information about the labs. So I can see things like how long it's been running, when my last activity on it was, the last sync on it, what my quality of my connection is, and that it's running, and all those things. I can click on a tile or the thumbnail over here, or on the monitor labs, and that'll take me into a new tab with just, in this case, Brian's lab running. And if I want, I can then send him a notification directly. Hi, Brian. I actually spelled your name right. And hit send, and then it's going to appear right down here in the corner for him. And so I could send him messages. I can also take control if he's having problems or an issue, and walk him through that rough spot so that he can get on with his lab. So I can come in here and type again. Hi, Brian, again. And from here, I can then release control and give him back his is lab. So we do have lab monitoring, and that really helps with the virtual classes where you can now virtually or see over the shoulder of your users and not have to be in the room with them. Now, another thing that we like to be able to do is to see what labs our students have and have not been launching and how much time they may have spent in them. So I can go to Find Lab Instances, and since I'm starting from the class, it's going to filter specifically for this class. The class is Class Management Webinar. And I can set what start time I want within the last week. I can come in here and I can see which labs they've been in and which lab series that belongs to, when they started it, when they ended it, if it was incomplete, if it was canceled, if it was completed. And if I want to, I can go in and see some lab details about this as well. So I can see where their lab is hosted and all the different information about their start and end and their activity, and that it was marked complete. If I walk on back to that class, we also have a Find Lab exam instances. And this doesn't apply to the labs in this class, but I have it filtered. I can show you another one where I do have something to show up. And when you look at exam results, you can see, again, what lab series, who the student is, and you get some, you can use the Find Lab instances and just add these columns if you want as output options, or you can use that exam instances and find them as well. And then you can see I have not passed this test, this exam. I got 0 out of 7 questions right, and I needed a passing score of 5 in order to have passed. And if I go to details though, it's nice because it actually shows you what the person answered and what was the correct answer. So you can see where they were having issues in their labs when you look at that. Let's go back to our class again. Lab instance, exam instances. The virtual meeting host. So we have a couple of different types of virtual meeting hosts. The one used in this classroom was a full integration using Adobe Connect. And but we have several different types of integrations. And I wanted to show you this one. We have a custom virtual classroom, and it allows you to, anybody can use this. So no matter if you come into the delivery type on the class, you choose virtual or physical and virtual, and you'll have the choice of either the fully integrated connections that we have with Adobe Connect or Zoom, or this custom virtual classroom. And the way that you use this is you go out and you schedule your meeting in your virtual meeting host. And then once that meeting is scheduled, you're going to copy the URL and paste it right into here. And then if you want that Enter Classroom button to show, you can set what times it shows for before class for your instructor, before class for your student, and after class for your student and instructor as well. And the after class, you can have it at 0, and then that Enter Classroom button would disappear right at the class end time. If you set it a little further out, like if you expect your, instructor and students might be talking about things for a while, and in this case, if someone got bumped out, they would still have an Enter Classroom button for 15 minutes after the class had finished. So you can set those up yourself and use them at any time. And when we go into our other two virtual class types, we have a full integration with Adobe Connect and with Zoom, which can be used. And the benefit that gives you is that you can also have recordings of the virtual sessions that are accessible to your students and to you and your instructors that are saved right on the class. And normally you'll just see this set of recordings and be able to come over here and watch it. But if you set up the course to allow supplemental recording access, then you get this other availability tab section down here. And that'll allow you to not only make it available to enrolled students, but anyone from your organization, any authenticated user, or just public to anyone at all. And you could also just choose specific users that you want to add in and give it access to, or you can set it up by user role. So maybe it was such an excellent webinar that you want to use it for training for other instructors, so you could set it up to the instructor role. If I do end up adding a person, I did that backwards. Like me. And then I save it. The way that I can find it then is to go to, I'm going to go to this user profile and go to my transcript. And way down here at the bottom, I have recordings available, and this is the one that just got added. So I could open the recordings from there and get access to them. So that's how that works, which is pretty fun. The next thing we want to take a quick look at, are enabling and disabling class activities. So this is a good one for your instructors specifically, but you can use it as well as an operations manager. And what we do is, on a course, you have the ability to enable a feature called Disable Class Activities. And when that's set up on the course, I get this little Disable All Activities checkbox and enabled buttons checkboxes over by each activity. So I can, whoops, let me get my student over here. So, oh, I'm sorry. I usually have this on a different page. So embarrassing. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so I have my student here. This is his enrollment. You can see he has an Enter Classroom button for that virtual classroom that he can get to right there. And here are his class activities. So if I go out and I disable the class activities for him, for everybody in the class, this unchecks the enabled there. And what it shows for the student is that those activities aren't available right now because the instructor has disabled them. So this allows the instructor to have some control of people working ahead of him in the class or not working on the labs that he intends them to be working on. And I can re-enable all of those, and they'll pop back automatically within a few seconds or 30 seconds. There it goes. Another feature that we have that is also set up on the course is to be able to view activities by individual. So I can set up, if you can look here, you can see that my student is only seeing the automatic course creation and then his end of class survey, but he isn't seeing this, either one of these assessments underneath the course creation from a lab profile activity. And when we have enabled on the course for the to be able to assign activities, what it'll do is allow you to specifically assign each student that you want a particular activity. So if I have 2 different assessments and I want different people in the class to take different assessments, I can set it up here. So when I click on the View Activity Access, there's currently no students assigned, and I'm going to edit the student access, and it shows me who's all here. When I hit Add Students, it's going to show me only students for this class that are enrolled, and I can then choose who I want to have that assessment. and those three will get that. And then I will assign the colors one to the other three and add students. And this time I want Brian, Eric, and Jimmy. And when I save it, Jiminy over here should have a assessment pop up. Oh, do I have to refresh the page? Yep, I refresh the page and he gets his assessment. But he doesn't see the other assessment, only the one that he has access to. And if anything is assigned incorrectly or needs to be changed, they can go back in and edit those items and that access. So it can be added or removed as needed. Okay. That is how you can control some activities. Completion certificates are our next piece of information we're going to look at. Completion certificates can be added in different places. They can be added directly to the class. They can be added to a course to be inherited to a class. They can also be, oops, I'm lying. They can be added to a course though. I was about to go on and say they're added to an organization, but that's surveys, not certificates. So if I want to add them directly into a class, I can go to Show Advanced Settings over here, and I'm going to get some more sections added down here, and certificates is right at the bottom. So if the course has a certificate that can be inherited, it will automatically add it when the class is created, or I can change the certificates on the class, and I can add as many certificates as I want to be available to the students and the instructor and you to print out for the class. So I'll go ahead and hit save. Once that's saved, an instructor or anybody admin for a class can come up and print completion certificates. And I can choose which one I want to do, and I'm going to do the demo certificate. Okay. And you'll see here I get a Word and a PDF for each student. And because you're an administrator or the instructor, we do the Word file so that you can edit and make changes to it. Sometimes people have not put their name in their user profile the way they want it to show on their certificate, or you may want to be able to change something in terms of, date or the time spent in the class. So you also get a Word value for it and a PDF. Now, a student will only get the PDF. And when they go into, the only way that they can actually print a PDF is if they have been marked complete for their completion status on a class. So Jiminy has, in fact, been marked complete. And if I come back to him and he goes to his transcript, you can see the class management webinar here, and he has the ability to add a certificate. On course assignments, he also has completed a course assignment that has a certificate that he can print himself as well. So he'll just click on that, choose the certificate he wants to print, and it will come up for him in a PDF for him to print. So he only has access to a PDF and nothing else. Let's see, surveys. You can add surveys to your classes, and you and instructors can see the survey results. Surveys are added directly into the TMS, and you can create them and add different types of questions. I guess I need to show him. When a user is in their class or a student, their class survey will show at the bottom of all their activities. We have surveys also available for you to give to instructors and for like an organization management. And you can assign those at the class level, the course level, and the organization level. If you have it at the organization level, it is going to default to any courses created and any classes created. So if I come down here to surveys, and if I have any surveys added here, any course or class I create is going to automatically have one. If you've added it directly on the course itself, and then it's going to bypass the organization setting and only use the ones on the course. And oops, that's the class. I didn't have it in here. That's bad on my part. So you can do the same thing on the course and set which surveys are available for an administrator, an instructor, and a student. And when you do that, it will be the first one that the class defaults to rather than the organization. And if I am in the class and editing it, I can go to advanced settings and I get this survey by default, and I can set when the survey is available for students. And for students, I can set it to, how many hours before a class ends, how many after the event begins, and then for how long they'll have access to that survey afterwards. And you can see the instructor and the organization survey. They don't get hours added in like this, like the students do. And once the class begins, they'll have access to the survey to take it, and it again is at the bottom of the class activities for them, just the same as where the students find it. So if I am looking at the survey results, it'll take me directly into my survey responses, how many responses I've gotten, who actually gave those responses, and then I get a percentage based on different types of questions that we have. So we have multiple choice questions that have one correct answer. We have multiple choice questions that can have multiple answers. We have text answers that are one line, multiple line, or an essay form. So you can click and get their responses and see them for each one. And we have rating scale questions. So my average here would be 4. My average with the rating scale gives me an average of all the questions answered. And then we have matrix style questions, and then you'll get a percentage per answer because that's one answer per question. And this is multiple answers per question, and you'll also get a percentage on that. So you get the results back on the surveys there. Let's see. We also have discussions available for your instructors, your students, and anybody who's taking self-paced training in that course. And the discussion link is right here at the top for both students and the class. And for these things, you can create the topics that are going to be out here. You can set up who moderates the discussions, and people can ask questions and post and respond to different questions and answer them and have a discussion over the class for any of the subjects that you have. So that's a way to get some more interaction into your classes. And our last but not least, I go back to my class eventually. The last thing I wanted to just point out some stuff on the roster for you. And the roster has some fun things, like I can choose which room a person is actually coming into. So if I have a physical classroom, I can do things like have a sign-in sheet that's set up to it. I can see on the roster what % of their class activities they've actually completed. We talked about completion a little earlier, but it defaults to unknown. And once it's defaulted, you can use attending, you can use complete, and that gives them the access to the certificates. Incomplete to show that they didn't, they attended part of the class and didn't complete attending the class. No-show can be used to show that they never showed up, but remember that that is not going to stop that user from being billed, or you being billed for that user, because we bill based on enrollment status, not on completion status. So if you do have someone who no-shows, you need to contact our help desk and have them cancel that enrollment for you so that you don't get billed for it. And if you have something like a test or something that goes along with the class, you can set them up as having failed if they didn't pass. For operations managers, but not for instructors, you can get to the transcript. You can see enrollment details that takes them into the specific enrollment. You can add notes to the enrollment. If there's any there, it would not be grayed out, and an instructor could read the notes. We have instructor feedback. Instructor feedback can be left for the students, and the student can see that on their enrollment. We have the ability to issue badges, and this is actually kind of fun. So we are working with Credly, and Credly issues badges for us, and they can set up badges for you as well. And you can choose which badges out of things that are available to you, and then add all the students that you want from the class to receive the badge, and hit OK. And when you issue the badges, it will issue them into their account, but they'll get an email and they can then accept the badge from Credly. And when they've done that, they can hook that up with their social media, so they can have that on LinkedIn or Facebook or other places that they want to show it. And if you want to set up badges through us, you can talk to your account salesperson would like their account representative, and they'll be able to work on that with you and get them set up. Enrollment history is going to show you any action that was taken on that student's enrollment from the time it was created. You'll be able to see who created the enrollment, all the information about it, any changes that were made for like classrooms or attending or anything else. And the last one here takes you to all the enrollments that they have in place. And you can get a lot of information here on the with extra columns that you can add into your roster as well. So that can be added. And the last piece I want to show you is emailing students. And you can come in here as an administrator or the instructor, because by default, our instructors are not given access to user accounts. And in order to do this, they can choose what enrollment status they want and completion status if they want. And then they can type up an email to send out to all the students in the class or the students that they've chosen. And what I usually get asked is, can they add attachments? And no, we don't have the ability to add attachments to those at this time. So that was what I wanted to show you today. And the resources that we have for the class is you can go to learn more about managing classes. We have video and articles about it, and you can get to that at lods.one/documentation. And then you'll look at the TMS tab for the administrator and look at the classes section. Excuse me. I'd love it if you join us for another webinar next week. On Thursday, March 11th, we'll have Brian Bork bringing us scripting for success using lifecycle actions. And you can sign up for that at lods.one/feature demos. And please note, we have a Launch Q1 coming up on March 24th and 25th. That's a Wednesday and Thursday. This is a free event. It's a 2-day event for lab developers, operations managers, and business decision makers. And you can get to that at, let's change my slide a bit, lods.one/launch to register for that one. And that is our webinar for today. And I'm happy to take any questions and talk to you about the things that we've shown.